everybody. We're going to be lucky tonight, or this evening. We're going to have a beautiful sunset happen in the background here while we're doing yoga, some beginner yoga. I have my good friend Maggie here who is going to do the practice beside me this evening. Say hi, Maggie.
Hello, everyone.
And so we're just going to go through some beginner poses this evening. If you're new to yoga, just go at your own pace, have fun with it. I'm going to guide you through it. Maggie's going to help us this evening. So let's enjoy the sunset and have fun with beginner yoga. So when you're ready, we're just going to start out really nice and comfortable in a seated position. So let's come down, fold your legs, make everything nice and comfy. And for the first 2 minutes or so, we're just going to close the eyes and just kind of de-stress. Relax here a little bit. So if you've been lazing around on your couch for the past week or so, then you're probably slouching right now. So just find a little bit of an arch to the lower back. Sit nice and tall. So we're just engaging those back muscles. And then the other thing we tend to do is kind of scrunch the shoulders together. So we just want to walk the shoulders back a little bit, opening them, rounding. And just allow the chest and the heart to shine through as the sun shines through behind us. And then take a big inhale. And then on the exhale, just let the shoulders relax. So we're just trying to get rid of some tension for the next couple of minutes. We just want to relax everything. Think about your facial muscles relaxing, the neck and the shoulders. But still sitting nice and tall and strong. So we're just going to take an hour or a little bit more this evening just to do a little practice here. Unwind and relax. And give back to the body and the mind. So you want to go at your own pace this evening. So if you need a break at any time, I'm going to get Maggie to demonstrate child's pose in about a minute or two. And for those that are new to yoga, child's pose is just your go-to yoga pose, where if you get a cramp in a muscle or you need a break or you're just tired, then you'll normally go to child's pose. If there's anybody that's watching that is very active and athletic, then think of your yoga practice as the maintenance for the body. So if you're 30 years old, think of driving a car that's 30 years old but never bringing it in for any maintenance. And if you're 50 years old, think of driving a car that's 50 years old and never giving it any maintenance. So what we're doing with yoga in our practice is maintaining the body, opening it up, finding more mobility, more strength, stronger muscles, opening connective tissue. If you have any problem areas or any old injuries, then you always want to be cautious. So I have pillows here, one I'm sitting on, one beside me. I have yoga straps, I have yoga blocks, I have a big towel here, like a bathroom towel for under my knees. So I always teach your yoga practice to make it as comfortable as you can. So you can type in yoga blocks, yoga straps if you don't have them. Go on Amazon or online anywhere. And within a few days, if you plan on doing some yoga, you can have these things delivered to you if you're going to continue your practice. So as we sit nice and tall, let's just find the left hand come into the right knee. And we're just going to bring the other hand behind us. And we're just going to do a gentle twist to the right. And you're going to incorporate the head and neck here also by looking over the right shoulder behind you. Gazing out at that orange sunset behind me. Other side, so just twisting to the other side. So we start off super, super slow. So my shoulders are relaxed as I do this. I'm not holding any tension in my facial muscles. And I'm really starting to think about my breath here. So instead of a shallow breath, maybe like a 1 or 2 second inhale, and same on the exhale, I really want to lengthen and start to put some thought into my breath here. So let's come back to center. We're going to come into child's pose, and I'm going to have Maggie lead us into child's pose, so face that way. And child's pose is very simple. You just come down, you flatten your feet out behind you, you bring your toes together behind you, you sit your bum down on your heels, you open your knees wide, and then it's a nice relaxation recovery pose, stretching the arms out nice and long. So this is just to demonstrate what it looks like. We often come to child's pose in between yoga poses in a practice, in all practices, just as a little break. And then we're just going to come back up here. I'm going to get Maggie to sit on her butt and demonstrate windshield wipers. So we're all going to do some windshield wipers. And just like the windshield wipers on your car, it's the same thing. It's that same motion. So lean back, put a little bit of weight into your hands, and try and line up your hips, your knees, and your feet approximately the same distance, but that's just a guideline. You just want to find something that's comfortable, and then just drop your knees to one side, and then nice and slow, pick them up, go through center, drop them through the other side. And you can turn the head in the opposite direction if you want here. Maggie's giving you the side version, I'm giving you the front version, and this is known as windshield wiper. Now the last pose I want to show before we get into our beginner practice is a recovery pose. So sometimes we'll do a recovery pose. So I'm going to get Maggie to show it. So come down onto your tummy. And she's going to fold her hands under her forehead or her left cheek or her right cheek. And she's going to stretch out nice and long. And then she's going to bend at the knees. And she's going to do a reverse windshield wiper just back and forth. And we'll often come into this pose between some of our poses. And this is just to recover if we've stayed in a pose for a minute or two. And then we'll come back up. So we're going to start off with our first pose. So we're going to come back to that seated position. Starting off nice and gentle here. If you have a yoga block, then you can use it here. Or if you have a bolster or pillow, when we fold forward, you can use your yoga block when we fold. So just come cross the legs, sit nice and tall, and relax here. Close the eyes. We're just going to take a couple of breaths in. We're just still warming up. And then we're going to find a little stretch in the arms. So we're going to bring the right arm out in front of us. And then I'm going to take the left arm, and I'm going to look at the crease of that left arm, and I'm going to swing it under, and I'm going to hook that crease under that right tricep muscle. So left arm is going to come, it's going to swing, and I'm just going to hook that other arm. Then you have two choices here. I can draw that left arm or my right arm across and turn my torso to the left, and that's going to give me a nice stretch as I turn everything to the left. Or if you can find what's called eagle arms, you're going to try and get your hands into a little bit of a prayer position. Now if you're tight, you might not get anywhere here. So you're just trying to get your hands together and find a little prayer position. Now if you can't get your hands together, just do the other version. And in whatever version you're doing, if you want to fold forward on your next exhale, then you can just hinge at the hips and fold. And just go down as far as you can. Doesn't matter how far you go. But if you do have a yoga block, I always show the option of using a block and then just resting on the block. Maybe your forehead rests on the block. If you have a little more flexibility, just and you're in eagle arms, if your elbows are down low, like towards your ribs or your belly button, try and lift them up a little higher, and then maybe out a little bit away from your body. switch everything up. And then release, give the arms a little bit of a shake. And we're just going to switch the position of the feet. So whatever one you have in front, bring to the back. Also, for those that can get into half lotus or full lotus, so if you can bring one foot up and tuck it in or on top of the opposite leg, then this is a good time to do that. If you can't, then don't worry about it. You can work on that over time. Left arm is going to come out this time. We're going to look at the crease of that right arm, and then we're just going to swing it under and hook it. And same thing, option A, you're just twisting your torso to the right this time. Or if you can find eagle arms, you're going to try and grab something. Now, if you're new to yoga, you might only grab your wrist, or you might just grab the bottom of your thumb. And over time, as the shoulders open up, you'll be able to get more and more of the hands together. And if you're naturally tight, or you do lots of sports, then your arms are going to probably be low, so you want to try and get them up a little. And then, as always, you have that option of folding forward. One more breath in and out. On your exhale, come up, release everything. We're going to unwind the legs. If you're sitting on anything, let's move it off to the side. We're going to find butterfly pose. So what that means is you're just going to take the soles of your feet and bring them together. So the soles of my feet are together and my knees are just relaxed. So if your knees are really high, it means you have tight hips, that's all. And some people can get their knees all the way down. So from here you can make this a very gentle pose, so you just relax into it, sit nice and tall, and take a big inhale here. And on the exhale, you can just draw your chest down towards your feet. You can just let your hands gently rest on the floor or the mat, and maybe walk your fingers out a little bit until you feel comfortable. People looking for a deeper stretch, then maybe you're grabbing your ankles or you're grabbing around the bottoms of your feet. And for those of you looking for a really deep stretch, we're just going to take the hands and we're going to bring them down in between the legs. And then we're just going to slide your feet along the floor, out past your feet, and then lift your feet up just a tiny little bit so that you can grab your fingers underneath. And then that's just going to give you some really nice leverage to pull your body down. Now Maggie's very flexible in this pose, and she has her feet way out away from her. And she's been working on this for a while, and she has some great flexibility, so her head is nice and low. So some people will only come down maybe an inch, and other people can put their head right on the floor. So everybody has a different level of flexibility here. One more big breath in and out. And then on the exhale, just work your way back up, nice and slow. We're going to bring both legs out in front. So we're going to find the Dandasana, which is staff pose. We're going to try and push through the heels, draw the toes back towards the nose, and then just relax here. Hands come down by your side. And then I'm going to bend that right leg. So I'm just going to bend it. I'm going to take the right foot and I'm going to tuck it into my upper thigh. Everything's nice and comfortable and relaxed on the mat. Now, we're going to fold forward, so I actually have a strap here. So if you have a yoga strap and you want to bring it down around the bottom of your foot, that's one option. Maggie will show an option of reaching up nice and high, and then she's going to fold forward and grab onto her foot. So as she exhales, she reaches and tries to find lots of length, and then when she can't reach ahead any further, she's going to just come down and relax and around her spine. I also took a belt out of my closet, so if you don't have a yoga strap, you can just grab a belt and do the same thing and achieve it. Wrap it around and just pull in. Your upper torso is going to be facing that outstretched leg, and you're going to come down with your chest and your chin. So you could gently grab onto a strap, or you could rest your fingertips on the mat. If you're looking for something deeper, you can grab onto the foot with your hands. If your hamstrings are super tight, then you can bend the knee like half an inch or an inch, and that's going to take some pressure off of that hamstring. And for a a really nice deep stretch through the connective tissue in your back and all along the right side of your body. Maybe try taking the right hand. This is for people that have more flexibility. Take the right hand and reach for the outside of the left foot and try and grab onto that. Last breath in and out. And then a nice slow release. Coming up, switching sides, exact same thing. I'm going to show the version using a strap. Maggie's going to show you the deeper version. We're going to tuck the opposite foot in, so left foot comes in, make it nice and comfy. I'm going to grab a strap. Maggie's going to do a big inhale. She's going to reach up. And on the exhale, if you have a strap, I'm just going to start to fold forward. My torso is over my outstretched leg. Maggie's going to find length first. And then when she can't reach any further, she's going to round the spine and come down. And the last version would be, if you're looking for something a little deeper, then you can grab onto your calf, your ankle, top of your foot, bottom of your foot, and that deeper stretch through that connective tissue in the lower back and the side, all up through the obliques. You're going to reach the left hand over to the outside, so the pinky toe side of that right foot, and then come back down, folding down and relaxing. One more big breath. And then relax, working your way back up. We're going to switch sides again, so let's bring the right foot back in and tuck it in. We're going to sit nice and tall. We're going to come into heron pose, and I'm going to show a couple of different variations here. So for heron pose, I'm going to turn my torso towards that long outstretched leg, so my left leg, and then I'm just going to bring it up. So I'm going to bend at the knee, I'm going to reach under it, and I'm going to pick it up, and I can just stay here. But I don't want to slouch into the pose. I really want to try and find strength in those erector muscles along the spine. And then if it feels okay, you can just kind of start to bring that shin up a little bit, taking your toes up towards the ceiling. You can just stay here. This is just beginner version. If you have more flexibility, you can grab the calf, the ankle, the foot, the toes, and just start to come up a little bit. So just remember, we don't want to be rounding the spine here and dropping the head. We want to try and find that stillness and straightness in the body. One more breath in and out. And then a nice slow release. Just drop everything down, switching sides. Left foot tucks inside. My right leg is going to come out straight. I'm going to grab under it. I'm going to bend that right knee. I'm going to lift it up. I'm not going to slouch, so I really want to engage my core here. And then I'm going to lift up. And then just stay as high as you can. If you need a break, you're just going to drop the foot down. If you can reach up a little higher, reach up. If you just want to grab the front of the knee, you can grab the front of the knee if you're a real beginner. So you can always modify the pose for your own practice. There's never a wrong way to do it here. You just don't want to ever do anything that's going to be uncomfortable or hurting or potentially injuring your body, obviously. Last breath in and out. And then let's relax down. Stretch the legs out nice and long. Give them a little shake. And we're going to come into a little bit of an ab exercise, so boat pose. Maggie's going to show a beginner version. I'm going to show a little more of an advanced version here. So you come and you sit on your bum like this with your knees bent. And it's the exact same thing as the prior pose we just did. We don't want to be slouching too much. So you're going to sit up tall. Try and draw the shoulders back. I'm going to hook my hands under behind my knees. And then you just want to come back and find balance. So you're balancing on your butt. So you can stay nice and low here, or you can come up as high as you want. So this would be a beginner version here, just staying here. Maggie's showing a more advanced version where she released her hands and she has her feet really high. So you can go feet low, shins parallel, or toes high, and you can do the exact same thing with your hands released. So feet low, shins parallel, or feet super high. Last breath in and out. And then let's release. We're going to bring the legs together, cross the feet, come forward, seated easy pose, and we're just going to relax for a couple of breaths here. Reaching the arms out in front of us. Take a few breaths. And then when you're ready, let's come up. We're going to find staff pose again. Both legs are going to come out in front. Now with this pose here, I'm going to bring you through a few variations. So when you find the one that works for you, that's where you're going to stay. We're going to sit up nice and tall. I'm going to bend my right leg. My foot is flat. So my right leg is bent. I'm going to hug with my left arm and support myself behind my back with my right hand. So you can stay here if you're feeling a stretch through that hamstring and the hips and through the glutes, stay here. Otherwise, we're going to lift the foot from the inside where it is. So my right foot from the inside, I'm going to lift it up and over and place it on the outside of that left leg. And then same thing, I'm going to hug. See how that feels. So if you're getting a stretch, stay there. If you're not getting a stretch yet, you're going to lean over to the left. And then I'm going to fold that outstretched leg back until my left foot comes back by my butt. And then same thing, I'm going to hug with my left arm. Right hand comes behind for support. Now this time I can look back at the sunset. So I want to look back at over my right shoulder and engage the neck here. So I'm going to look back. Now two last options here. You can bring your hugging arm from where it is on the shin, and if you're looking to get in a little deeper, you're just going to lift it up, and I'm going to place it over the knee and on top of my thigh, and then I have leverage now where I can push into my elbow and get a deeper therapeutic twist to my spine. And for those of you with real flexible hips, if you can get into cow face pose, that's the last version. So this is only for people that have openness in their hips. I'm going to lean over to the left. I'm going to grab my right foot with my right hand, and I'm going to pull it back towards my left hip. And then I'm going to settle in. Both feet are a mirror image of one another. Both knees are stacked over each other. And then I can sit nice and tall, or I can hug and come down, or I can drop down to the left, or the hardest version is to drop down to the right. So we're just going to do 5 more breaths here, so just settle in and relax. Try to use the full capacity of your lungs. So we want to find like a 4 or 5 second inhale and a 4 or 5 second exhale. It can be shorter or a little longer than that. That's just a recommendation, a guideline. One more big breath in and out. On the exhale, nice slow release. So coming out, leaning back, straightening the legs, giving them a little shake. And then coming right into the other side. So bending the left leg this time. Hugging with your opposite arm. So you're hugging the right arm. The left arm comes back for support. You can look over that left shoulder if you want. come from the inside if you want, so left foot can come to the outside for deeper stretch, and then hug with that opposite arm, so your right arm. If you want to bend that outstretched leg, this time lean over to the right. I'm going to bend that outstretched leg, bringing my right heel in towards my butt, and then hugging. And then same as last time, I can take that hugging arm from where it is on the shin, and I can lift it up and over, and I can press into it, give me a nice deep twist. And I'm looking over my left shoulder now, out over the Sydney Harbour, looking across North Sydney Ferries, saying hi to anybody from North Sydney, Sydney Mines. And for those that want to do cow face pose, so this is the deepest pose. I'm going to grab my left foot with my left hand and pull it back. Take all sorts of time and caution to settle in here, wiggling my feet into position, and then relax, either up or hugging. The easy side is coming down to the right, the hard side is coming down to the left, where you're getting into that tight connective tissue through the glutes and the back. More breaths. So make that inhale and exhale super relaxing. We're always trying to work with the breath to calm the body down and relax into our poses. Last breath in and out. And then let's relax, come out, lean back, straighten the legs out, give them a little shake. And from here, the next series of poses are going to be on our backs. So let's come down on our back. I'm going to instruct here. I'm going to get Maggie to come down on her back. So from here, it's just very simple. We're going to do knees to chest. So this is just a super gentle stretch here. So you're just going to lift one knee up off the floor, grab it with your left hand. So grab your left knee with your left hand, lift your right knee up, grab that with your right hand, and then pull them into your chest. So nice gentle stretch. Now you can grab your hands or your wrists. If you have more flexibility, think about grabbing your forearms. And if you can grab elbows, so opposite elbows, grab opposite elbows. Now this is a little break in the practice here, so it feels nice just to do a gentle rocking motion. So Maggie's going to demonstrate just a real gentle rocking motion left to right. And sometimes you'll fall over to the side. That's the fun of yoga. Yoga is super, super playful, very playful practice. And from here we're going to get into some leg raises. So what we're going to do here is flatten out, nice and flat. So legs are going to come down flat on the mat, stretched out nice and long. Your hands are going to come planted beside you, beside your hips, out about 4 or 5 inches from your hips. And you're going to spread your fingers nice and wide. That's going to give you lots of coverage. And for leg raises, what we're going to do, we're going to lift the legs up to the ceiling, so a 90-degree angle. So lift everything, the bottoms of your feet come up to the ceiling. Now for beginners, you have the option, as we start to come down here, you can bend the knees, and that's kind of a beginner version, or you can keep the legs straight, so it's totally up to you. So what we're going to do is take about 10 seconds or so, or as long as you can, stretching it out. And we're just going to drop the heels down nice and slow to the mat. You're just going at your own pace. You should be down by now, so we're going to bring them back up. So this is called rejuvenation pose, so feet come back back up to the ceiling. So the soles of your feet are facing the top of your ceiling. And so you're at 90 degrees here, so we're going to come down to 60 degrees. So we're going to come down 1/3 of the way. So your legs are up in the air, we're going to bring them down at an angle. If this is too hard for you, just bend at the knees. That'll take a little pressure off. We just want to do one big full breath at 60 degrees, which we've already done, and then we're dropping down to the harder one, which is 30 degrees. Remember, you can take a break at any time, you can drop your feet down. One big full breath, inhale, exhale, that should be about 10 seconds. And then just take the rest of it, just come down nice and slow, dropping the heels down, and just taking a little break. So this is a good opportunity to practice your windshield wipers, so just plant the feet flat on the mat. Maggie's going to demonstrate windshield wipers, and you're just dropping your knees from side to side, just for a couple of breaths. And we're doing one more leg raise. So we're working the abs just a little more here. So stretch the legs out nice and long for the last time. Lifting them up, find that rejuvenation pose. So bring the legs all the way up nice and high. Soles of the feet are flat, facing the ceiling. 90 degrees. Take a big breath in. On the exhale, we're coming down to 60 degrees. So 1/3 of the way coming down. Once you finish that big breath in and out, drop to 30 degrees, so you're coming 2/3 of the way down. This is the hard part. So you're engaging your core here, and then take the next 5 or 10 seconds and just allow the heels to softly make their way down to the mat. We're just going to take 3 recovery breaths here, so you can relax or you can practice your windshield wipers. It's up to you. From here, we're going to work our way into bridge pose. So for bridge pose, you're going to be on your back. Your knees are going to be bent. So Maggie's going to start us off, showing us. Knees are going to be bent side. So the goal here, if you can imagine it, is just to try and walk your heels in towards your fingertips. Once you're there, spread your fingers nice and wide. Think about having your hips, your knees, and your feet lined up like the same distance apart. And then we start off here with a slight tilt to the pelvis. So think about that small of your back area that might not be touching the mat right now. So you have to tilt the pelvis and try and make contact with that small of your back into the mat. And then you're slowly lifting your pelvis up, so that sacrum area is just starting to come up off the mat. And then the last lumbar disc there, so that L5 disc in your lumbar spine. And then you're working up, so you're just peeling your spine, your lower spine up as high as you can. So the goal here is to get the front of your body, so the front of your hip bones, up towards the ceiling. Hands can be planted beside you, or you could take your hands and interlace your fingers underneath your body, except for your index finger. You might be pointing your index finger. One more big breath in and out, reaching those hips up super high. And then coming down nice and slow. So think about that highest disc in your spine that's up off the mat, coming down and touching. And then the next disc, and then the next one, until your sacrum and tailbone starts to come down. And then you're going to relax. So you could find some windshield wipers here. You could find knees tucked into your chest. Be playful. And then we're going to roll over. We're going to find tabletop pose. So for beginners, tabletop pose is just like it sounds. You're in the shape of like your kitchen table. So your hands are under your shoulders. So everything's lined up. Shoulders, elbows, hands, and your feet are behind you. Knees are underneath your hips. I normally show this with my knees on a blanket. And this is just a nice cushion, so when you're into these poses, your knees are not bothering you. So if you have a yoga blanket or a towel, put it under your knees. And we're going to do some cat-cow. So what we do, we start off with a neutral spine. Your toes can be tucked under or flat. We take a big inhale, we drop the belly down, we lift the butt up, we lift the head up, and everything is arched. And then on the exhale, it's like a Halloween cat. We drop the head, we drop the tailbone, and we lift the middle of the back. We round everything up. We're pushing away with our hands. And then inhale, it's the opposite. We're dropping everything down. Belly button comes down towards the mat. Head comes up and the butt comes up. And then exhale, it's the opposite. And one more. Big inhale, head comes up. Exhale, head comes down. And you're lifting the belly button up towards the spine. Coming back to a neutral position here. I'm going to bring my right leg out behind me. And I'm just going to stay here. I'm going to spread my fingers nice and wide from the pinky to the thumb. If you feel well balanced here, you can take opposite hand off the mat, but you don't have to, so this is just an option. Maggie's demonstrating opposite hands, so she has her right leg out and her left arm is out. If you're looking for something a little more here, you can reach back, so the outstretched hand, I'm going to bend my outstretched leg and I'm going to grab that foot and I'm just going to gently lift that up to feel a stretch through my quad muscles and my hip flexors all through the front of my leg. And then a nice gentle release coming down. I'm going to find child's pose. So that means I'm going to bring my toes together behind me. I'm going to sit my butt down and then I'm going to stretch out nice and long and relax. From here we're going to work into a plank, and Maggie is the plank champion of Cape Breton Island here. She's a super planker. She's been working on it for a while. So Maggie, turn your mat around the other way so people can see you. What we're going to do, since this is a beginner class, we're going to come into a plank. I'm going to show everybody 3 options, and we're going to do a plank for 30 seconds, and then we're going to rest for 30 seconds, and then we're going to do a plank again for 30 seconds. Now, some people, if you're used to doing planks, you can do your plank for the whole minute and a half. It's your choice. If you can only do a plank for 10 or 15 seconds, just do a plank for 10 or 15 seconds and then come down and then join back in when you're ready. Now, your 3 options for a plank, you can do it on your knees, so that's the beginner version. So hands under the shoulders, and then I push up, and I come up on my knees, and you're going to do this for 30 seconds. The intermediate version would be to interlace your fingers and come down on your forearms with my elbow lined up with my shoulder. So interlacing my fingers, I'm on my forearms, I'm going to tuck my toes under, and then I'm just going to lift my body off the mat. So that's kind of an intermediate version. And then the true and hardest version is like your plank, but it's basically a push-up, hands under the shoulders, toes are tucked, and then I have to push my whole body up. So I'm going to get the timer going on my phone here, and I'm going to count it down. In about 10 seconds, we're going to be ready to go here. So get ready. I'll give a countdown from 5. So get my stopwatch going here, reset. Okay, going in 5 seconds. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's go. So pick the version of the plank that you feel comfortable with. Your body should be fairly straight, so if there's someone around you, ask them if your body is straight. You don't want your butt sticking way up in the air. This is not downward dog. We are currently at 20 seconds, so if you're doing 30 seconds and then taking a rest, you now have 5 seconds left. 2, 1. For those that are resting, you can rest. We started doing these in yoga class a while ago, and Maggie kept going with it. There might be 2 years ago. Maggie can do a 4-minute plank. And I'm not going to say over a live Facebook feed how old Maggie is, but it starts with a 7.
And ends with a 5.
It ends with, yeah, I'm not going to say what it ends with. Okay, for those that are joining back in, the rest is over now. We're coming back up, your last 30 seconds. We're currently at 1 minute and 5 seconds. We're going to 1.5 minutes. 20 seconds left. So when you're into something tough like a plank, it's all about the breath. So you really want to close your eyes, especially your last couple of breaths. You have 10 seconds left. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come on down. And remember your recovery pose where you stretch out nice and long. You fold your hands and bring your head down or your cheek. And then you can do a reverse windshield wiper if you want. Or child's pose, up to you. One more big breath in and out. Our next pose is going to be a squat, so we're going to come standing up. Now, I asked Maggie to join me today because when Maggie started yoga, 4 years ago? 5 years ago, she couldn't go down more than maybe 4 or 5 inches. So when I told her to squat, she could only come down a few inches and she was stuck there. And that's just what happens over life, and as you age, I mean, the body tightens up. Now, I'm just going to show what Maggie can do. Maggie can completely squat down now. So this is just an example of if you're tight and in your connective tissue, what you can do. So Maggie can come down super low here now. And that's what we're going to work on. So what we're going to do is work your way down. So from a standing position, arms can come out. So this is just like a counterbalance. My arms are out in front of me. I'm going to stick my butt back. Your legs can be, if you're really stiff, your legs are probably going to be wide and your toes probably pointing out. And then you're just going to come down as far as you can. Doesn't matter how far you come down, you're just going to go down as far as you can. For those with more flexibility, if you don't need your hands out, you can dig them on the inside and do a little groin opener. Now, a little trick for everybody else, you can take a towel, or 2 towels, or 3 towels, and if your heels are a little bit off of the floor, you're going to bring your heels onto something. So you could roll up your yoga mat, it can be anything, it can be a big thick book, a bunch of magazines, and coming down, and this makes it much easier to do the pose. We're going to do 3 more breaths. Last big breath in and out. And then working our way up to a standing position. We're going to demonstrate ragdoll pose. So ragdoll pose is a really nice stretch through the whole line of the back of your body. So it's going to stretch from the back of your heel through the Achilles, the calves, hamstrings, up through the hips and the back. And very simply, Maggie's going to face forward. I'm going to turn sideways. I'm just going to stand in mountain pose. So mountain pose, everything is lined up. My hips, my knees, my feet, my arms are just going to come down to the side like this. And then on an inhale, I'm going to inhale, sweeping the arms up nice and high. And then as I exhale, I'm just going to reverse the sweeping of the arms. I'm going to hinge at my hips, and I'm just going to lead with my chin and my chest. And then ragdoll is like it sounds. You're just going to let your arms hang heavy. My head is just going to be heavy. I'm going to close my eyes, and I'm just going to relax here. Breathing into the body, so breathing into your back. just come back up. This is called ragdoll pose. Now something to be playful with in this pose, reach up and grab opposite elbows. So you're staying in the exact position, you're folded over, and just try like the pendulum in a grandfather clock. A nice little pendulum swing back and forth, taking your time, nice and soothing and relaxing. If you're tight through the hamstrings and back, this is super therapeutic for you. And then we're going to reverse everything coming back up. So sweeping the arms from here, I'm going to release the arms and then sweeping them back up. All the way up to extended mountain pose, hands come together, and then on my exhale, hands come down through heart center, and then I relax back in mountain pose. We're going to work on downward facing dog here. So in a beginner class, we teach a lot of the poses individually, and then eventually we start to connect the poses, and it'll be a flow, and you'll hear of a flow class, and that means that you're flowing through a bunch of poses and working up a little bit of heat in the body. So I'm going to get Maggie to demonstrate downward dog. We start off in tabletop. So tabletop, like I said before, you're in the shape of a table. My hands are under the shoulders, my knees are underneath my hips. I'm going to tuck my toes under, and then think of the shape of a mountain or a triangle, where the top of your butt is the top of the mountain, and then your hands are at the other end, and your toes are at the other end. So she's going to come up, spread your fingers nice and wide, and then come up on your tippy toes to start out, and then eventually we want to settle in, bringing the heels down onto the mat, or as close as you can. My heels don't even reach the mat, so you're just trying to stretch through the calves here. Now you don't want to be in a push-up position here. You want to be in that triangle position. So if you're too far ahead in the shoulders, it's going to feel like a push-up, and it's going to be super difficult. So you want to push back and sink into it. So one more breath in and out. And then just slowly drop to your knees. Find child's pose. Open the knees. Bring the toes together. Stretch the arms out and relax. Take a couple of breaths. Now I'm going to demonstrate with Maggie the biggest mistake in downward dog, show you what you don't want to do. So Maggie, come up into downward dog. Now, a lot of beginners, they will be stretched out way too long on the mat. So Maggie brings her hands way out here, and then bring your feet back a little bit, Maggie. Keep going back, keep going back, keep going back. So she's stretched out way too long, so she's not really the shape of a triangle. So just kind of bring everything back in just a little more. Now that's one mistake. The second mistake is for her to come forward like she's doing a push-up. So come forward like a plank. So that's what it looks like a lot of people do, a plank. It looks like you're doing a plank. So as an instructor, I would push her back by the shoulders so that she's starting to stretch out through that armpit. So you want to have everything straight here. It's almost like you're dropping your armpit down onto the mat. So that's okay. Thanks, Maggie. Perfect. Maggie's in downward dog for like a full minute. So from here, we're going to work on what's known as a sun breath. So we're going to come back to a standing position. So when you're ready, and come up to the front of your mat. So you're standing at the front of the mat. And a sun breath is how you learn how to do what's called a sun salutation. So in yoga, a flow class, there's sun salutation A and B, and it's just a series of connected poses. So this is the beginning of that. So from the front of my mat, I find mountain pose. My hands are nice and relaxed here. I'm strong like a mountain. And then I inhale, bring everything up. And then I'm going to come into ragdoll on the exhale, sweeping the arms back, hinging at the hips, and coming down, finding ragdoll. Breathing in and out here, one big breath in and out. And then on your next inhale, let's reverse everything back up. So you're sweeping the arms back up, coming back up, reaching up to extended mountain. Hands come together, exhale, come through, and relax back into mountain pose. Now the last thing we're going to do today, and then the next time we do this class, we're going to add onto it. We're going to add the next step onto it, which is coming to a flat back. So all it means is once we fold forward, I'm going to show with Maggie. So she's going to inhale up, and then she's going to exhale and fold, like we just did exactly. So she's in ragdoll. Now she's going to inhale, and she's going to come up to a flat back. So it's important here that her shoulders roll back, and she's engaging through the back muscles. So if I were to place a walnut between your shoulder blades, and then I said come to a flat back, and I want you to crack that walnut, you have to squeeze your shoulder blades together. So what normally works for me when I do it, a lot of people have their hands on their shins, but I was taught to bring my hands up over my knees, and then that allows me the mobility to roll my shoulders back. So that's what we're going to do next. So when you're ready, we're going to find mountain pose at the front of the mat, and then inhale. And then I'm going to exhale, leading with my chin, my chest, folding. Find your ragdoll, just relax there. Now on an inhale, we're going to come to that flat back. So I'm going to slide my hands up my shins, and in my case, I'm going to come either on my knees or just above my knees, and then roll my shoulders back and squeeze them. So that's on a big inhale. And then I'm going to exhale, and we come back to ragdoll. So exhale. And then on your next inhale, we reverse everything, coming all the way back up. So sweeping the arms up, nice and high. Extended mountain, hands come together, and then exhale back down through the center of our heart and release back to mountain pose. When you do most yoga classes, anywhere you go around the world, you're going to come into what's known as warrior poses. So warrior 1, there's warrior 2, and there's warrior 3. So warrior 1 we're going to work on first. So Maggie's going to come to the front of her mat. I'm going to come, so I'm going to be facing the opposite direction here. So from the front of your mat, you're going to find mountain pose. We're going to start with the right leg. Starting with the right leg, I'm going to step back nice and long. So I'm going to step that right leg way back. Normally it's about 3 to 3.5 feet. Now in a beginner class, I would like you to walk your left foot kind of over to the left side of the mat. And when you get good at this, you're going to have your heel lined up to heel. So it's called heel to heel alignment. And what that means is if I slid my back leg up, I would line it up with my front heel. So my back heel would line up with my front heel. But for beginners, I like them to have really good balance. So I normally will have them have that right foot kind of over a little bit more to the right and the left foot over a little more to the left. Take your hands on your hips. Hips face forward, so we're not facing sideways, we're facing forward, the front of the mat. And then I'm going to find a little lunge into that front leg, so I want to bend it, and that's just as far as feels comfortable for you. And then relax the arms down, and we inhale up, find those warrior arms. Now if you feel off balance, look at the floor, or you can look straight ahead. And if you feel really good and well balanced, you can look up between your hands up at the ceiling. Try to relax the shoulders down a little bit and try to bring the biceps close to the ears. One more big breath in and out. On your exhale, dropping the arms and then just making your way back to the front of the mat. So let's switch mats. Maggie, come over here, I'll move there. And we're going to work the other side. So now we're going to bring the left foot back, so I come to the front of my mat. Same thing, I'm going to step back with my left foot this time, nice and long. So it's about 3 to 3.5 feet. Walk that right foot over to the right side. Turn your hips forward. Now your back foot's probably going to be at a 45-degree angle or so. So just make sure that your back foot is comfortable. And then find a little lunge. So we want to find some power into that front leg. Hands on the hips, they're facing forward, arms drop down, inhale, coming up. Remember in this pose, when you're in it, you're not leaning forward, you're not really leaning back unless you're instructed to lean back and find an arch to the back. You're normally straight up and down. And for those looking to get lots of power into the pose, you can walk that front foot out and really find a deep lunge here if you want. One more breath in and out. And then release, arms come down, work your way back to the front of the mat. Okay, let's switch up again. So that's Warrior 1. Warrior 2 we're going to do next time. It's a very similar pose. And we're going to come into a balance pose here, which is Warrior 3. So Warrior 3, if you remember when you were a kid and you were playing on a seesaw like a teeter-totter, and if you just imagine if you had a kid on the other end of it who's the exact same weight as you, then it would be a perfect teeter-totter. So I want you guys to imagine that in Warrior 3, I'm going to drop my chest down towards the floor, and I just want the whole side of my body to be like one unit, and my leg is stiff, and I'm just going to bring my toes up off the floor. So it's like a teeter-totter. I'm on like my hips are like an axle, and I'm just rotating here like this. So I'm not bending anything. So the way to go through it, we're going to put some weight into the right foot. I'm going to stand nice and tall. I'm going to shift a little bit of body weight over to the right, and then I'm going to start to lean forward. I always teach it with airplane arms, and then I'll show you some options. So the beginner version is what's called airplane arms. It's just for easier balance. I'm going to start to bring my left foot behind me a little bit, nice and straight and strong. It's still connected, so my big toe is connected to the mat. Now, like a seesaw, I'm just going to start to lean forward, so my chest is coming forward, and then you're just going to bring that back toe off the mat. So it doesn't matter how far it comes off the mat. It can be an inch, or you can bring your whole body parallel to the floor if you want, so your chest could come flat. Now the thing here is to try and find something on the floor for your gaze, which we call the drishti. So you're leaning forward, you're leaning, you're leaning, you're leaning. I'm looking at something on the floor in front of me. You might be wobbling. Airplane arms, you're finding turbulence. And then let's come up. We're going to switch sides. So the exact same thing on the other side. I'm going to plant my left foot. I'm going to walk my right foot back. I'm going to find airplane arms. And then when you're ready, hinging at the hips. So nothing is bending. I'm bending my whole body as one unit. And then I'm focusing on the floor. You don't have to go far at all. If you're a beginner, just come an inch off the floor if this is your first class. Has nothing to do with how far you go down. If you have lots of balance, you can bring your arms out in front of you. So you can go from airplane arms, and you can bring arms out in front of you. One more breath in and out. So your balance poses are meant to be super playful poses. They're not meant to be super serious poses. From here, we're going to come to a wide open V. So I'm going to get Maggie to face forward. She's going to kind of scissor her feet out really far until she's wide. Her toes are going to be facing forward. I'm going to face sideways so you guys can get a sideways look. And just go as far as feels comfortable. Hands are going to come onto your hips. I'm going to relax my shoulders. I'm going to take a big inhale. And on my exhale, I'm just going to hinge forward. So you might not go very far. You might bring a block along with you to rest on. So you could rest on your block, my hands. If you're really flexible, start to bring your hands down to the mat. Some people can get their forearms and elbows, the top of their head down. Maggie shows me up in this one here. She's got, well, she's either touching the mat with her head or she's very close, intimidatingly close. On your next inhale, let's come back up. So because this is an inversion, so an inversion is whenever your head is below your heart. So come back up, nice and slow, all the way to standing. We're keeping the legs wide. This time we're just going to do the exact same thing, only we're going to interlace our fingers behind us. And then I'm going to keep my index fingers pointing down. So I'm going to reach and I'm going to roll my shoulders back so I can feel everything opening up, my chest and my heart openings. And then I'm going to inhale. On the exhale, exact same thing we just did. Only this time you can keep your hands rested on your back, or if you're looking for a deeper stretch, reach the arms up towards the ceiling. One more breath in and out. And then release the hands back down if they're up. And then come up nice and slow. Remember, whenever you're upside down or in an inversion, you always want to be doing everything nice and slow and controlled. And then we're going to come down. We're going to slow everything down, coming back down onto our mats. We're going to come into what's called Happy Baby. So down on my back, I'm going to grab behind my legs. My legs are going to come up. Now you can reach behind your legs, behind your knees. You can reach your calves. If you can reach your toes, grab your toes, insides of your feet, outsides of your feet, and then drop the head down and relax here. Nice gentle roll back and forth, left to right. Now we're going to turn this into another inversion. So you have the option here of coming into plow pose. So plow pose is going to put some pressure on the shoulders and the neck. So if you have an issue with your neck, do not do this. Just continue doing Happy Baby. However, from Happy Baby to get into plow pose, you're just going to start to draw your feet behind you. So from Happy Baby, you're going to lift your legs up straight and then start to lean back. And you can have your hands down beside you, either in front of you or behind you. Your hands can connect to your feet. If you're looking for a little help how to get into it, the way I was taught how to get into plow pose was to do a roly-poly. So I would connect my hands under my knees and I would round my spine and do a roll. And then on the second time, I would dig my elbows into the floor and catch the big hip bones with my thumbs, and that would hold me in place. So it would look like this, one roll, and then on the second roll I catch, and I support myself with my hands, and I find my hip bones, and I dig my thumbs in, and then I can drop my legs back. Now if there's anyone doing this that wants to turn this into shoulder stand, then you're just going to straighten the legs up towards the ceiling if you have shoulder stand in your practice. So from plow, I'm just starting to straighten everything up nice and high, reaching those toes up. And that's only if that feels comfortable to you. And then when you're ready, release, working your way down, nice and slow. We're just going to finish off with a gentle twist before we find our final pose. So coming down, my knees are going to be bent. My arms are going to be out to the side like a T. My feet are flat. Everything's lined up. My hips, my knees, and my feet are all lined up. And I'm going to lift up my right foot. I'm going to cross it over my left knee. And then if there's any space between the legs, squeeze your legs together to get rid of that space. Some of you can hook that top foot under the bottom ankle. If you can do that, do it. If you can't, don't worry about it. And then on your next exhale, drop both knees over to the right. So the knees go to the right, the head goes to the left. without unwinding your legs. So keeping your legs in the exact same position, bring them up from where they are on the right side, through center, and drop them over to the left. Remember your head, if it's comfortable, the head always turns in the opposite direction to get that maximum stretch through the spine and the neck. Quick scan, make sure you're not holding any tension in your jaw or anywhere in your body. On your next inhale, let's bring your legs back up. Unwind them, flatten the legs out. Just take a breath here, a little break for the legs. And then we're just going to come in, balance everything off, doing it on the other side. So let's bend the knees, feet are flat again. Left foot comes over the right knee this time. If there's any space between your legs, squeeze it out. If you're able to hook the top foot under the bottom ankle, do that. Take a big breath in, dropping both knees to the left this time. The head turns to the right. Next inhale, keeping your legs interlaced, bring them back up to center, dropping them over from the left, over to the right, head turns to the left. Take a big inhale, just relax into this. Soften everything in your body, not holding any tension. Big breath in and out. On the exhale, coming back to center. Unwinding, stretching the legs out nice and long. Flatten them on the mat in front of you, stretching the toes away. Squeeze the legs together so everything's touching. Reach the arms up to the ceiling. Interlace your fingers, except for that index finger. And then drop them behind you so your whole body is nice and long. It's like when you wake up in the morning, a big long good morning stretch. So inhale, stretch everything in opposite directions. Exhale and relax. And then one more, big inhale, stretching in opposite directions. On the exhale, let's bring the right knee into the chest. So grabbing the right knee with both hands. And then straightening the left leg out, pointing the toes away. Switching sides. Grabbing the left leg, stretching the right one out. Coming into the next few minutes of Shavasana. So this is our corpse pose, our last pose of the evening. It's our relaxation pose. So if you have a blanket, I recommend grabbing a blanket, putting it over your body. This is the most relaxing and rewarding part of class. You can put something under your head if you want, put your socks on, maybe a hoodie. If you're new to yoga, then traditionally you'll take your left heel to the left corner and your right heel to the right corner and just let your feet flop out to the sides. Some people like to have that butterfly position with the soles of their feet coming together and the knees just relaxing. And finally, a couple of options for the hands. They can come down by your hips. You can bring them on top of your chest to connect with your heartbeat and your breathing. Or you can lift them up to the ceiling and drop them behind you. Lots going on in the world these days. Everybody has a busy mind. second. And then a nice, soft, slow, therapeutic release as you exhale. And then just keep that breath pattern going, softening it a little bit more. Take your next inhale and exhale for a quick scan from the top to the bottom. Facial muscles are released. I'm not holding any tension. My jaw just drops open slightly. My lips are slightly apart. Neck and shoulders release down into the mat. Arms and hands are relaxed. Thighs, my calves feel good, nice and relaxed. My feet are turned out and just relaxed. try and post on Facebook every day and let people know what I'm up to. And even if I do something beginner, I'll try and do it for all levels. And if I do something a little more complicated, then you can still be able to try it. So don't ever be afraid to tune in and try stuff. When you're ready, let's bring the arms down to the side. We're going to find a big inhale. And then just sigh out and exhale. And when you're ready, hands down by your hips. Let's inhale up nice and high with the arms up to the ceiling. Hands come together. On the exhale, hands come down through heart center.